Hello all, Shadwell here, ready to talk about the next film in my collection, Fire in the Sky from 1993. It's directed by Robert Lieberman and stars D.B. Sweeney and Robert Patrick. Now, remember my rule. When it comes to movies based on true stories or actual events, it is not my concern what the true story or actual events are, nor is it my concern how well the movie does accurately telling the true story or actual event. I'm just concerned with whether the movie is good or not. And this movie should feel very lucky that I don't delve into the true stories, because from just a cursory glance I was able to discover that this film is based on what is now commonly known to be a hoax. But I don't dive into it any deeper because I don't want that to taint my review. I own this film because younger Shadwell was all about the X-Files. I was an X-File, P-H-I-L-E for sure. That, tied with a deeply rooted love and curiosity of all things space-related, it makes absolute sense that I would buy into the whole alien conspiracy stuff. And then later, when we learned I was schizoaffective bipolar type, the acceptance of something like an alien/government conspiracy made even more sense. Luckily, I've been able to extricate myself from all of that and really anything too rabbit hole-ish. I used to occasionally get too deep in the Zodiac case, but now that that's been solved, there really isn't anything to get lost into anymore. Anyway, Fire in the Sky tells the tale of 6 lumberjacks that go into the woods. One allegedly gets abducted by aliens, and since only 5 of them return, the small town they reside in are convinced they killed the 6th, until he comes back 5 days later with a harrowing tale of abduction and experimentation. I do find it super interesting that the faces of the aliens are very similar to the face of his mother or mother-in-law, who appears in a brief scene right after he recounts the abduction to a shrink. Of course, the reason you pay the price for admission isn't for the did-they-didn't-they murder plot. It's all about that 15 minutes towards the end of the film where Travis recalls everything he remembers about his experience for the last 5 days. Which for young Shadwell was pretty intense and scary. I do have to say that I think the musical score for this film is total ass. However, the sound mixing and sound design for it is next level brilliant. Like the whoosh of being dragged down the alien hallway helps build that tense as fuck atmosphere. This film also features the T-1000 himself, Robert Patrick, just 2 years after Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I'm giving Fire in the Sky a C+ because it's not technically hurting anybody, I don't think, but the writing leaves something to be desired. Tomorrow we move on to the first film in the Rambo series, First Blood. See y'all then.